Okay, we're reading 17.4. Yajante satvika devan sharaksham sirajasaha etan bhutaganam chanye yajante tamasadhana. In the previous verse, we discussed about the three modes of faith. So Krishna is describing them here. Men in the mode of goodness worship demigods, mode of passion worship demons, mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Purport. In this verse, the Supreme Person of Godhead describes different kinds of worshippers according to their external activities. According to scriptural injunction, only the Supreme Person of Godhead is worshipable, but those who are not very conversant with or faithful to the scriptural injunctions worship different objects according to their specific situations in the modes of material nature. Those who are situated in goodness generally worship demigods. Demigods include Brahma, Shiva, and others such as Indra, Chandra, and the sun god. There are various demigods. Those in goodness worship a particular demigod for a particular purpose. Similarly, those who are in the mode of passion worship demons. We recall that during the Second World War, a man in Calcutta worshipped Hitler because thanks to that war, he had amassed a large amount of wealth by dealing in the black market. Similarly, those in the modes of passion and ignorance generally select a powerful man to be God. They think that anyone can be worshipped as God and that the same results will be obtained. Now it is clearly described here that those who are in the mode of passion worship and create such gods. And those who are in the mode of ignorance and darkness worship dead spirits. Sometimes people worship at the tomb of some dead man. Sexual service is also considered to be in the mode of darkness. Similarly, in remote villages in India, there are worshippers of ghosts. We have seen that in India. The lower class people sometimes go to the forest, and if they have knowledge that a ghost lives in a tree, they worship the tree and offer sacrifices. These different kinds of worship are not actually God worship. God worship is for persons who are transcendently situated in pure goodness. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. When a man is situated in pure goodness, he worships Vasudeva. The purport is that those who are completely purified of material modes of nature and who are transcendently situated can worship the Supreme Person of Godhead. So here when we say worship, it is actually pure. Pure bhakti, Shuddha bhakti. The impersonalists are supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness, and they worship 5 kinds of demigods. This is called Panchopasana. Panchopasana. They worship the impersonal Vishnu form in the material world, which is known as philosophized Vishnu. Impersonal. Vishnu is the expansion of the Supreme Person of Godhead, but the impersonalists, because they do not ultimately believe in Supreme Personality Godhead, imagine that the Vishnu form is just another aspect of impersonal Brahman. So that is called philosophized Vishnu. Vishnu who has taken a form temporarily. Similarly, they imagine that Lord Brahma is the impersonal form in the material mode of goodness. That they sometimes describe 5 kinds of gods that are worshipable, but because they think that the actual truth is impersonal Brahman, they dispose of all worshipable objects at the ultimate end. In conclusion, the different qualities of the material modes of nature can be purified through association with persons who are of transcendental nature. So one thing is people who are in the mode of goodness worship demigods, and then people who are in the mode of pure goodness worship Vasudeva. So this demigod worship is also a stepping stone to come to the worship of Vasudeva. But generally people get stuck here for many lifetimes. And they get so badly stuck that they don't want to worship Krishna, especially. When they hear about Krishna and his pastimes, they get bewildered. Krishna is doing all kinds of immoral stuff according to them. So sometimes people get stuck here only. Of course, lower modes worshipping demon spirits, that is all clearly, not many people do, but at least in India, people get stuck with demigod worship. So one should come to pure goodness. Now, so when we are doing bhakti, we are not necessarily in pure goodness because we are still contaminated with the modes. So actually, technically, we cannot say that we are doing bhakti. We are following the process of bhakti, which will purify us so that we can come to the mode of pure goodness, so that we can actually start real bhakti. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na sochitna akamshati samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. So when we come to this Brahmabhuta stage, we actually start bhakti. And by practicing the process of bhakti itself, the process of bhakti will help us come to that Brahmabhuta stage. So this is the beauty about bhakti. And the process and everything is the same. So we don't have to change our process. Same process will take us there. Okay. Next verses. Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapojana dambankara samyukta kamaraga balanvita karshayantah sharirastam bhutagramam acetasah mam chaivantah sharirastam tan vidhyasura nichayan. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, or impelled by lust and attachment, were foolish, and who torture the material elements of the body as well as the super soul dwelling within are to be known as demons. There are persons who manufacture modes of austerity and penance which are not mentioned in scriptural injunctions. For instance, fasting for some ulterior purpose, so as to promote a purely political end, is not mentioned in the scriptural directions. The scriptures recommend fasting for spiritual advancement, not for some political end or social purpose. Persons who take to such austerities, according to Bhagavad Gita, are certainly demoniac. Their acts are against the scriptural injunctions and are not beneficial for the people in general. Actually, they act out of pride, false ego, lust and attachment for material enjoyment. By such activities, not only is the combination of material elements of which the body is constructed disturbed, but also the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself living within the body. Such unauthorized fasting or austerities for some political end are certainly very disturbing to others. They are not mentioned in the Vedic literature. A demoniac person may think that he can force his enemy or other parties to comply with his desire by this method, but sometimes one dies by such fasting. These acts are not approved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he says that those who engage in them are demons. Such demonstrations are insults to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are acted in disobedience to the Vedic scriptural injunctions. The word achetasaha is significant in this connection. Persons of normal mental condition must obey the scriptural injunctions. Those who are not in such a position neglect and disobey the scriptures and manufacture their own way of austerities and penances. One should always remember the ultimate end of the demoniac people. The Lord forces them to take birth in the womb of demoniac persons. Consequently, they will live by demoniac principles life after life without knowing their relationship with the Supreme Lord. If, however, such persons are fortunate enough to be guided by a spiritual master who can direct them to the path of Vedic wisdom, they can get out of this entanglement and ultimately achieve the goal. Okay, I think this is pretty clear. Not much to be discussed here. Verse 7. Aharastvapi sarvasya trivido bhavati priyaha yagnastapasthatha dhanam tesham bhedam imam shunu. Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. Same is true of sacrifices, austerity, and charity. Now here are the distinctions between them. Purport. In terms of different situations in the modes of material nature, there are differences in the manner of eating and performing sacrifices, austerities, and charities. They are not all conducted on the same level. Those who can understand analytically what kind of performances are in what modes of material nature are actually wise. Those who consider all kinds of sacrifice or food or charity to be the same cannot discriminate, and they are foolish. There are missionary workers who advocate that one can do whatever he likes and attain perfection. But these foolish guides are not acting according to the direction of the scripture. They are manufacturing ways and misleading the people in general. 8. Ayusattva bala arogya sukha priti vivardhanaha tasya snigdha sthira hridya ahara satvika priyaha. Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase ayu, increase duration of life. Ayu, sattva, purify one's existence. Bala, give strength. Arogya, health. Sukha, happiness. Priti, satisfaction. Vivardhanaha, vivardhana means increase. Rasyaha, what are these foods? Rasyaha, which are juicy. Snigdaha, fatty. Sthira, wholesome. Hrudya, pleasing to the heart. All this is ahara satvika priya, which are for sattvic people. Then next verse, Katvam lavanat yushna tikshna ruksha vidahinaha ahara rajaseshta dukha shokamaya pradaha. Katu, bitter. Amla, sour. Lavana is salty. Ati ushna. All this is ati ushna, all which are too bitter, too sour, too salty, too hot. Tikshna, pungent. Ruksha, dry. Ruksha is dry. Yeah. Vidahinaha, burning. Burning. Are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease. Too bitter, too sour, too salty, too hot, pungent, dry, and burning. It's all spicy food. Yata yamam gadasrasam puti paryushitam chayat uchishtam apichamedyam bhojanam tamasapriyam. Foods prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, except for prasadam. It does not include prasadam. Food that is tasteless, decomposed and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness. Remnants is like people nowadays, office and all, they eat from each other's dabba. This is mode of darkness. The purpose of food is to increase the duration of life. So Prabhupada is writing a purport for all the three, verses 8, 9, 10. The purpose of food is to increase duration of life, purify the mind and aid bodily strength. But purpose of food for today's world is enjoyment. Irrespective of whether the food is healthy or not, whether it increases duration of life, purifies mind. Now, Rajasic and Tamasic, they won't purify the mind. They will disturb the mind further. And like here, Krishna is saying, they are also these causes of disease. So we should only eat sattvic food at least, and then we should only eat prasadam. In the past, great authorities selected those foods that best aid health and increase life duration, such as milk products, sugar, rice, wheat, fruits, and vegetables. These foods are very dear to those in the mode of goodness. Some other foods such as baked corn and molasses, while not very palatable in themselves, can be made pleasant when mixed with milk or other foods. They are then in the mode of goodness. All these foods are pure by nature. They are quite distinct from untouchable things like meat and liquor. Fatty foods, as mentioned in the 8th verse, have no connection with animal fat obtained by slaughter. Animal fat is available in the form of milk, which is the most wonderful of all foods. Milk, butter, cheese, and similar products give animal fat in a form which rules out any need for the killing of innocent creatures. It is only through brute mentality that this killing goes on. The civilized method of obtaining needed fat is by milk. Slaughter the way of subhumans. Protein is amply Prabhupada is saying protein because people say animal fat protein. So he's saying protein is amply available through split peas, dal, whole wheat, etc. Foods in the mode of passion, which are bitter, too salty, too hot, or overly mixed with red pepper, cause misery by reducing the mucus in the stomach, leading to disease. Foods in the mode of ignorance or darkness are essentially those that are not fresh. Any food cooked more than 3 hours before it is eaten, except prasadam, is considered to be in the mode of darkness because they are decomposing. Such foods give a bad odor, which often attracts people in this mode, but repulses those in the mode of goodness. Remnants of food may be eaten only when they are part of a meal that was first offered to the Supreme Lord or first eaten by saintly persons, especially the spiritual master. Otherwise, the remnants of food are considered to be in the mode of darkness and they increase infection or disease. Such foodstuffs, although very palatable to persons in the mode of darkness, are neither liked nor even touched by those in the mode of goodness. The best food is remnants of what is offered to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, Supreme Lord says that he accepts preparations of vegetables, flour, and milk. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Of course, devotion and love are the chief things which the Lord accepts. But it is also mentioned that the prasadam should be prepared in a particular way. Any food prepared by the injunctions of scripture and offered to the Supreme Lord can be taken even if prepared long, long ago, because such food is transcendental. Therefore, to make food antiseptic, eatable and palatable for persons, one should offer food to the Supreme Person of God. In fact, prasadam, there are no, like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, on Sarvam Bhattacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes that day. For some reason, Sarvam Bhattacharya is not got up early. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes with prasadam. Sarvam Bhattacharya is literally just getting up from his bed, not brushed his teeth or anything. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives him prasadam and then he immediately eats it. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks, what is this? All your Vedic, this one you follow so strictly. How come you just ate prasadam without even brushing your teeth and taking your doing your morning duties? Sarvam Bhattacharya says that it is offense if prasadam is offered and that it is not eaten at that point of time. So that is the significance of prasadam. It actually overrides all other so-called rules and regulations. Okay. Apalakankshibhir yagno vididishto ya ijjate yashtabhyam yeveti mana samadhaya satvikaha. Sacrifice. Now Krishna talks about sacrifice. Of sacrifice performed according to the directions of scripture as a matter of duty by those who desire no reward is of nature of goodness. So generally goodness is duty, no expectation in return. Across the board, all different characteristics. The general purpose, the general tendency is to offer sacrifice with some purpose in mind, but here it is stated that sacrifice should be performed without any such desire. It should be done as a matter of duty. Take, for example, performance of rituals in temples or in churches. Generally, they are performed with the purpose of material benefit, but that is not in the mode of goodness. One should go to the temple or church as a matter of duty, offer respect to the Supreme Lord, and offer flowers and eatables without any purpose of obtaining material benefit. Everyone thinks that there is no use in going to the temple just to worship God. But worship for economic benefit is not recommended in the scriptural injunctions. One should go simply to offer respect to the deity. That will place one in the mode of goodness. It is the duty of every civilized man to obey the injunctions of the scriptures and offer respect to the Supreme Person of Godhead. Abhisandhayatu phalam dambhartham apichayupayat ijjate bharata shreshta tam yagnam vidhi rajasam. But the sacrifice performed for some material benefit or for the sake of pride, we should know to be in the mode of passion. Sometimes sacrifices and rituals are performed for elevation to heavenly kingdom or for some material benefits in this world. Such sacrifices are considered to be in the mode of passion. Vidhihinam asrishtannam mantrahinam adakshinam shraddha virahitam yagnam tamasam parichakshate. Any sacrifice performed without regard for directions of scripture, without distribution of prasadam, without chanting of Vedic hymns and remuneration for praise, and without faith is considered to be in the mode of ignorance. Faith in the mode of ignorance is actually faithlessness. Sometimes people worship some demigod just to make money and then spend the money for recreation, ignoring the scriptural injunctions. Such ceremonial shows of religiosity are not accepted as genuine. They are all in the mode of darkness. Most people do this for this only. I do this, I will get something in return. So passion, ignorance. Okay. Verse 14. Deva Dvija Guru Pragna Pujanam Shaucham Archavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsa Cha Shariram Tapauchate. Now these verses are very important. This is tapascharya, austerity. Austerity for body, then speech and mind. So we should actually note these and we should try to practice these. These are very, very important from a practical perspective. Austerity of the body consists in worship of Supreme Lord, Brahmanas, spiritual master, and superiors like father and mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, non-violence. So austerity of the body, worship. So we have to do worship of superiors, then cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, non-violence. Supreme Lord here explains the different kinds of austerity and penance. First, he explains the austerities and penances practiced by the body. One should offer or learn to offer respect to God or to the demigods, the perfect qualified brahmanas and the spiritual master and superiors like father, mother, or any person who is conversant with Vedic knowledge. These should be given proper respect. One should practice cleansing oneself externally and internally, and he should learn to become simple in behavior. This we have discussed already, simplicity and all that. He should not do anything which is not sanctioned by the scriptural injunctions. He should not indulge in sex outside of married life, for sex is sanctioned in the scripture only in marriage, not otherwise. This is called celibacy. There are penances and austerities as far as the body is. These are penances and austerities as far as the body is concerned. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapa uchyate. Austerity speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, not agitating to others. Also in regularly reciting Vedic literature. So we should chant verses. Good to chant verses of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam on a daily basis. One should not speak in such a way as to agitate the minds of others. Of course, when a teacher speaks, he can speak the truth for the instruction of his students. But such a teacher should not speak to those who are not his students if he will agitate their minds. This is penance as far as talking is concerned. Besides that, one should not talk nonsense. This is the most difficult part. We are so used to talking nonsense. The process of speaking in spiritual circles is to say something upheld by scriptures. One should at once quote from scriptural authority to back up what he is saying, like quoting a verse. At the same time, such talk should be very pleasurable to the ear. By such discussions, one may derive the highest benefit and elevate human society. There is a limitless talk of Vedic literature and one should study this. This is called penance of speech. So, truthful, pleasing, beneficial, not agitating others if they are not students, and regularly reciting Vedic literature. Mana prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhire iti etat tapomana samuchyate. And satisfaction, simplicity, this is most important. Satisfaction, we should be satisfied with whatever Krishna has given us. Simplicity, gravity, not being very loose in our talk and dealings. Self-control and purification of one's existence are pure austerities of the mind. To make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. The best training for the mind in gravity is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. So this is how we maintain simplicity and gravity. To purify one's own nature is to become Krishna conscious. Satisfaction of mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment. So this is very important. People they say, I want peace of mind, etc. But if one is involved continuously in thoughts about sense objects, then there's no question of satisfaction, because we'll want more and more. See, Prabhupada is saying, the more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied, because we want more. We're not happy with what we have. The present age, we unnecessarily engage the mind in so many different ways for sense gratification. So there's no possibility of the mind becoming satisfied. And so that is why Vanaprastha is important. Because if you don't come to Vanaprastha, then in Grihastha we are always engaged thinking about material things. you don't come to vanaprastha, it will keep continuing. What is the use? So it's important that we actually, come to make progress and go to all these different stages and not just get stuck. Some people say, I chant Hare Krishna, just live like Grihastha in old age. No use. Not going to make progress. So there's no possibility mind becomes satisfied. The best course is to divert the mind to Vedic literature, which is full of satisfying stories as in the Puranas and the Mahabharata. One can take advantage of this knowledge and thus become purified. The mind should be devoid of duplicity. Duplicity means thinking something, doing something else. And one should think of welfare of all. Welfare of all means preaching. Silence means that one is always thinking of self-realization. Person in Krishna conscious observes silence in this sense. Silence means not speaking, but silence means talking only about Krishna. Person in Krishna consciousness observes perfect silence in this sense. Control the mind means detaching the mind from sense enjoyment. One should be straightforward in his dealings. And this control of mind also is not artificial. It is based on, depending on Krishna. By engaging in devotional service, trying to get spiritual strength so that we can control the mind. Or the other easy way of just engaging all our senses in direct devotional service 24 hours, then also mind will become controlled. One should be straightforward in his dealings. Straightforward, not scheming, crooked. Therefore, purifies existence. All these qualities together constitute austerity in mental activities. So this is very important to practice satisfaction. So we should remember, I should be satisfied with whatever it is there. Simplicity, we should be very simple in our dealings. We should not have any ulterior motives. If you have some ulterior motives, then we become crooked. Because we keep gamifying. So we should be simple. We should not go behind any sense gratification. Our only desire should be to please Krishna. And without desire for la puja pratishtha, then we can be simple. Then gravity, just thinking about Krishna, talking about Krishna. Self-control, purification of one's existence. So purification of one's existence is also what kind of thoughts we harbor. So we should always, that's why the easiest process is to remain Krishna conscious. The more time we remain Krishna conscious, automatically all these austerities will be done, will be achieved. But if we are not able to be engaged in Krishna consciousness for a long time, then we'll have a lot of trouble. That is why sadhu sangha. That's why we should have good association. Okay, we'll finish. Okay, austerity. Then there is austerity in goodness. This is austerity of mind, austerity of body, austerity of speech. Okay, now Krishna is speaking. Okay, Saddhaya paraya taptam tapastatri vidham narai aphala kankshibhir yuktai satvikam parichakshate. This threefold austerity performed with transcendental faith by men not expecting material benefits but engaged only for the sake of supreme is austerity in goodness. So you talked about austerity of body, mind and speech, and now how should these austerities be done? Those who do it only for the sake of doing it, not for the sake of the supreme, not for material benefits, is in mode of goodness. Next verse, Satkaramana pujartam tapodambena chaivayat kriyate taddiha proktam rajasam chalam adruvam. Penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, worship is in mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. Sometimes all this is executed to attract people and receive honor, respect, worship, etc. Persons in the mode of passion are arranged to be worshipped by subordinates and let them wash their feet and offer riches. Many people, many followers, they call their preceptors, gurus, your Supreme Lord, your God Himself. And then these gurus, they don't say anything, saying, no, I'm not, this is wrong. And Prabhupada was very clear. Even if he didn't think whether I'm going to lose that devotee or not. He just said, okay, you're doing nonsense, get lost. So no question of being worshipped by subordinates. Such arrangements artificially made by performance of penances are considered to be in a mode of passion. The results are temporary. They can be continued for some time, but they are not permanent. Mudagrahenatmano yat pidaya kriyate tapah parasyotsadanartam va tattamasam udahritam. Penance performed out of foolishness, with self-torture, or to destroy or injure others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Hiranyakashipu. Penance undertaken by demons like Hiranyakashipu performed austere penances to become immortal and kill the demigods. He prayed to Brahma for such things, but ultimately he was killed. To undergo penance for something which is impossible is in mode of ignorance. So it is out of foolishness that he did. It's also self-torture because his body was really reduced to bones, or to destroy or injure others. Okay, so we'll stop here. Charity, we'll continue our next session. Okay, I think today people are busy with Ganesh Chaturthi, so very few people are attending. Okay, is there any question? Anybody? It's all pretty straightforward. Okay, these verses are going to be like this 17th and 18th chapter, except when we come to the last part of 18th chapter, then we'll have some discussion. I think till then it will kind of move like this only, because mostly it's all Gnana, not much to discuss, just application and pretty straightforward. It has to be done. That's all. We have to just be conscious and apply these things in our life. Okay, so we'll end here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.